I need to address something that's very, very important to me. It involves former welterweight champion Errol Spence Jr., who exercised his right to a rematch clause with the reigning undisputed two-division champion that is Terence Bud Crawford. It was a spectacular beatdown in July of epic proportions, a beatdown the likes of which I've rarely seen in boxing history. I've seen Floyd Money Mayweather beat the crap out of the late, great Arturo Gatti, God rest his soul. I saw Floyd Money Mayweather destroy Diego Corrales, knocked him down about 5 or 6 times, just embarrassed him. I saw that. I saw George Foreman beat Joe Frazier so badly, Joe Frazier tried to run away and Foreman knocked him upside the back of his head, something that had my father laughing for the remainder of his life until he passed away in August of 2018. My father, that fight was like in 1973, and my father laughed damn near the next 50 years over that one. It was the funniest moment he'd ever seen. All of those things hit me. I've seen Felix Trinidad destroy William Joppy at Madison Square Garden in front of a bunch of Puerto Ricans that came to see him and just destroyed them. This was that kind of beatdown. It was that bad. And the beatdown was so bad, I want to replay for you what I said the Monday following that fight on First Take on ESPN. Listen to what I said a month ago. I want to announce this on national television right here on First Take. I believe that Errol Spence Jr. should consider retirement. That's how bad that ass whipping was. Not only did he get into that accident in 2019, 3 months later, he revealed he was also rear-ended. A couple of years later, a 14-year-old stole his mama's vehicle, drove in a car, ran a red light, and he was in an accident because of that. You have him having to leave the game for a year because he had a detached retina. When you consider the multitude of injuries outside of the ring that he had, combined with what he experienced Saturday night, I got Teddy Atlas on the phone telling me there should be a commission that doesn't even allow Errol Spence Jr. to fight for at least the next year. Yeah. And I agree with Teddy Atlas. Maybe I was being a bit hyperbolic when I talked about retirement. The man is 28-1. It was the first loss of Errol Spence Jr.'s career. He is a stud. He is a big-time fighter. It was a struggle for him to meet the 147-pound weight limit. I heard in the days leading up to it, he found himself in a sauna and other places just fatigued and what have you because he was trying to sweat off the weight and stuff. I get all of that. But an ass whipping is an ass whipping. And when you take as much punishment as he was taking and you saw the way that he looked after the fight, that was just hard to see. It really, really was. Spence Jr. was in bad shape after the fight. I mean, if you don't believe me, I understand everybody, you want to be cryptic and you want to be skeptical and you want to disagree with Stephen A. I guess you think you get points for that. Let me tell you something. Where's your soul? Seriously, ask yourself, where's your soul? Because when you look at Terence Crawford, who was in better shape, who was sharper, who looked strong. He was supposed to be the smaller fighter. He was stronger. He was poised. He was ready. He was clearly the better boxer. He was faster. He was quicker. And if that's not enough, based off of what you saw, could you please take a look at Errol Spence Jr. after this fight? Look at this right here, please.
I'm not going to stew over it at all. I did what I was supposed to do, regardless of the outcome or anything like that. Like I said, I was going to do something, and I promised everybody I was going to do it. So I did it as a man. I stood up on my word. So I'm definitely not going to sulk over this. I'm going to get right back and get to it, hopefully at 154 pounds.
Well, he's getting his wish because Crawford has to honor the rematch clause, even though he'd rather fight people like Jamel Charlo, who's about to fight Canelo Alvarez. or he'd like to fight, even move up and fight Canelo Alvarez, even though Canelo Alvarez is like not really entertaining that. The reality is that Errol Spence Jr. doesn't need to be back in the ring. You saw him. You heard the slurring of his words. I know it was in the immediate aftermath of the beatdown, but my goodness, we know what we saw. Crawford's trainer Brian McIntyre has said no specific date has been discussed, but he hopes it'll happen before the end of the year. My response to that would be, how could you possibly hope that? I mean, you want to buy as much time as you possibly can, for Errol Spence to fully recover looks-wise, just the scars. I mean, listen, if you think I'm exaggerating, go look at that episode of Martin, the show was called, when Tommy the Hitman Hearns was on the show. And he said to Tommy, I heard that, he said, you call yourself the Hitman when I spoke to Sugar. And he called you the Get Hitman. Okay? And it was funny. But look at the end of the show, how Martin Lawrence had on that mask, looking like he was all beat up. And then go look at Errol Spence Jr. Just an eerie resemblance. It was bad, y'all. And I love Errol Spence Jr. I'm not cracking jokes. I'm not laughing. I don't think it's funny. It was just bad. He does not need to get back in the ring with Terence Crawford this year. Me personally, period. But especially this year. He don't need to get back in the ring before next summer. But he had a rematch clause. He exercised it. It most certainly will take place at 154 pounds, and Spence has indicated he plans to move up in weight. So there you have it.